Good evening and welcome. Today is Wednesday, April the 24th, 2019, and this is the City of Anderson Board of Architectural Review. First item on the agenda. Anything to add?
Nothing else to add tonight.
Very good. We'll move right into the public hearing. First being BAR 1856, I believe 1912 is related, and we'll take the report together, discuss them together, but vote separately. Jeff.
Thank you. The original applicant came before the board in December to request approval for new sign faces and the existing freestanding sign on the property. The board granted approval for the two new sign faces, which have since been installed. Since this meeting, the applicant has installed an additional wall sign on the side of the building that was not approved by the board, and they have not acquired sign permits for any of the three signs yet at this point. I have met with the applicant at the site, and we are now waiting for the sign permit until we determine the fate of this particular sign in addition to the two that were previously approved. Since that time, the second applicant has joined the building and has a massage therapy business in the building as well. They have also added a sign here that you can see here along the building. They are seeking to add an additional tenant panel to this sign, be the same size as the one up here that was previously approved by the board. And so you have the request for this sign panel along with a wall sign on the building to advertise her business as well. And so it would be between the two different applications, it would be a third tenant panel that's being requested by applicant one, along with a wall sign for applicant one on the boulevard side of the building. Applicant two would be the wall sign here for the massage therapy business. So you'll have a total of three sign faces and a freestanding sign, one sign face on the Greenville Street frontage of the building, and then one on the boulevard side. So, in terms of the guidelines, when reviewing this application, the board should focus on the standards set forth in Chapter 8 of the Downtown Design Guidelines. The following sections apply. First policy states to design a sign to be in balance with the overall character of the property. Appropriate signs include both the freestanding and flush-mounted wall signs that are being considered, and signs should be in character with the material, color, and detail of a building. The board must decide if the proposed changes meet the above criteria. A sign permit is required prior to installation of the signs. The first applicant is not here yet. The second applicant is here and present tonight. With that, happy to answer any questions that you have for staff.
Thank you. And I gather that both of these signs have been installed prior to application and approval by the VAR.
That's correct.
Not good. I noticed the first applicant sign that was attached to the side of the building. If you recall previously with prior tenant, they made a similar request. It was denied. We allowed them to do a hanging sign, an arm hanging sign, and that hanging sign was smaller and more in scale with the building side there. So this application, as I recall, is contrary to what we've approved in the past, and in fact, we specifically denied such a similar application previously on the building.
That's correct.
Okay. And as far as the additional third on the monument sign, it seems to be appropriate in scale, as does the...
Does the boutique have signage on its door as well? And on the awning?
Well, you can see something, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, Bill had a question.
Does the boutique have signage on its door or on the awning as well?
It does not. It just has the freestanding sign with the two faces and then the two wall signs we discussed. So there's no signage on the awning.
In both places enter from the same door?
Yes, I believe so.
I don't have a problem with the small sign or the program below, but I'm not in favor of the wall-mounted sign on Boulevard. Because we previously considered that and denied it.
Correct.
Yes.
All right, so anything further? Any other discussion? So let's first take the request for the wall mount sign.
Right, on the boulevard wall.
Is there a motion to approve? If not, it would fail.
Wait, no,
But-
this one. No,
That-
I'm sorry, yeah, the other one shown.
Well, this would be the one that we're considering now, so it would be either a motion to approve would allow them to keep it, a motion to deny would require it to be removed and come back to us with something else in the future.
Do we have a motion?
To deny.
A motion to deny from Amanda, second from Bill. Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Okay. If you will notify the applicant, Jeff, thank you. As to the request of 1912, which would add a third horizontal signage below the Abaji and the smaller frame sign by the door. It's already been added. Is there a motion to approve?
Make a motion to approve.
A motion from Bill to approve both of those signs. There, second? Second from Mary Lou. Further discussion? All in favor? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next, we have VAR 1916.
Yep.
Thank you. No.
The applicant is seeking approval for exterior alterations on the property at 128 North Main Street in the downtown historic district. Property is the home of George Sink Injury Lawyers. The applicant would like to add 2 new vinyl window signs on the front of the building. The first sign, staff reported incorrect, would be along the front wall, but would actually be on the window out at the road, not on the door. So this would be at the sidewalk edge on this window here. So with George Sink, PA, Injury Lawyers on the front. And the second sign would be recessed entryway into the building on the right-hand side. So on this window here, as you'd be walking in, again, a vinyl graphic with George Sink, PA, Injury Lawyers on that one as well. When reviewing this application, the board should focus on the standards set forth in Chapter 8 of the Downtown Design Guidelines. Again, design guidelines for signs. Most of what we just covered in the previous application applies here, with the addition that a window sign may be considered. The board must decide the proposed changes meet the above criteria. Sign permit would not be required for window signs if approved. I'm happy to answer any questions you have for staff. I do not believe the applicant is present tonight for this item.
All right, we have 2 vinyl window graphics. One, as you indicated, sidewalk edge, and the other recessed. Comments, questions, concerns?
This one we're viewing now just seems terribly out of scale, more like a billboard than a sign, but
I'd agree with that, Andy. I was just looking with the being subordinate to the overall scheme, and when you've got the large awning already, and then if you allow the vinyl graphic up front, and then that, it seems overwhelming.
it looks like the business now is a billboard on Main Street. And loses some of the character that we want to keep on Main Street. Very much just like the vinyl graphics on those side glass windows, of course.
All right, so you've made comments as to the vinyl graphics on the recessed entryway. What about the smaller one Jeff is showing now on sidewalk side?
Why they need more huge awning.
I think it would need to be much smaller than that. If it's to identify somebody is walking down the sidewalk and wants to, they can't look up at the awning. But it doesn't need to be that big to identify where you're going, where it could even be on the front door. I don't know.
Front door.
It needs to be not, I would vote against.
Well, in all fairness, the door being so recessed, I can see the need and the desire to have it on the sidewalk edge,
Well,
a sign.
it's in scale with the awning, a much smaller scale.
Much smaller scale would be much more agreeable.
Applicant's not here, is that correct, Jeff?
Correct.
This is 36 inches in width, 90 high.
Right. 18.88 inches high.
Oh, sorry.
Not,
Yeah,
so it's only coming in like 2.5,
Oh, I see, I'm sorry.
Basically 36 by 20.
yeah.
it's 20 by 36, 20 high, 36 wide.
Making 36.
And the 90 is the height of the frame.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I see, yeah, that would make a little more sense, wouldn't it? All right, so,
Can we make a suggestion as to the overall size of the sign? And that's the,
We could table it and let them come back with a smaller thing, or we could, recommend a smaller size.
Jeff, thoughts? So it's not having to come back.
Right.
Could we actually approve a smaller scale?
We can,
And if they wish to accept it?
to do something different.
That's right, okay.
Right.
All right, so with that, we could approve a smaller sign, more in scale, for that, sidewalk edge window.
Do you want to take the windows separately, the signs
Well-
separately, or jointly?
Well, my guess is the other is not gonna pass.
Right.
But as to this one here, any suggestions on scale? I think Andy's
You know,
working on that for us.
I was just gonna throw out 24 inches, so it'd be
Mm-hmm.
2/3 of what it is now,
yeah, 24 by 12 high.
or whatever the proportion worked out to. I didn't calculate it, but yeah.
24 by what?
What?
The 24 width.
24 by 12 high, 24 wide, 12 high.
All right. So the suggestion from Andy and Bill would be, 12 high, 24 wide, more in scale with the building. What do you think, Jill?
24, what was it?
All right, so, as to the, recessed entryway sign, is there a motion to approve or motion to disapprove?
Motion to deny.
Motion from, Moya to deny, second from Andy, further discussion, all in favor? And that signage is denied. As to the sidewalk edge, sign rescaled to 12 by 24. Is there a motion to approve? We have a motion from Mary Lou, is there a second? From Bill. Any further? All in favor?
Aye.
And Jeff, I believe inherent in the approval of the 12 by 24 would be a denial of the 20 by 36?
Yes.
Yeah, very good. Moving on now to BAR 1919.
The applicant is seeking approval for exterior alterations on the property at 400 South Main Street in the Downtown Historic District. Now, the property is a home with MCA architecture. The applicant would like to add 2 vinyl window signs on the front of the building. The first sign would add the address above the front door. That location. And then the second one would add the business logo on the lower left-hand side of the window here. So small sign. This is what it would look like. A little bit bigger than this, but this is the design of the sign itself. Again, when reviewing this application, the same from the previous application applies with the window sign. If approved, they're not required to have a sign permit. And the applicant is present tonight, and I'm happy to answer any questions you have for staff.
2 vinyl graphics, very much in scale, tasteful, well proportioned and positioned. Any concerns?
Very nice.
Any future signage considered or contemplated?
Not at this point.
Okay. All right. There's a motion from Jill to approve. I'll take it. And second, I saw from Moyer. Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Very good. Thank you. Now on to BAR 1920.
The applicant is seeking approval for exterior alterations of the property at 100 West Whitner Street in the Downtown Historic District. The property is the Chicola Hotel building. The applicant would like to add a plaque commemorating the 100th anniversary of the Rotary Club of Anderson. The club was started at the Chicola Hotel. They would like to install a 12 by 19 cast bronze plaque, a historical type plaque commemorating the 100th anniversary. Basically, it would go on the side of this column here, facing Main Street. Column here, facing Main Street. So this to be visible from the road, sidewalk. Historic markers and plaques are exempt from our standard city sign ordinance. And so as long as it's a truly historic plaque, then it's an exempt sign. It does not require a permit through the sign ordinance. Once again, when reviewing this application, the board should focus on the standards set forth in Chapter 8, going back to a flush-mounted wall sign being able to be considered. The board must decide the proposed changes meet the above criteria. Again, the sign permit will not be required prior to the installation of the sign. The applicant is present tonight, and I'm happy to answer any questions you have for staff.
Nice alternative to statues and freestanding signs. I take it the proof we're given is there's proof that you
Yes,
corrected. Thank you. Thank you, Lee. Appreciate that. Yeah, I mean, it's a nice alternative to, more freestanding monument signs. Adds interest
Adds interest to
Adds
downtown.
interest.
And information.
and information and history.
It celebrates our history, yes.
Exactly. All right, so with the corrected version, is there a motion? A motion from Amanda, a second from Jill. Anything further? All in favor?
Okay.
Carries. Thank you. Thank you. Now on to BAR 1913.
Also the porch.
That's everything, base steps, all that. The applicant is requesting approval for new paint on the property at 408 Blair Street in the North Anderson Historic District. Property is a single-family residence. The house is currently white with brown shutters and a red brick base. The applicant is seeking approval to repaint the existing vinyl siding white. The shutter color would change from brown to the darker gray color that you have there, which is hematite. And then the base and back deck and stairs change to the lighter gray color, which is called iron frost. When reviewing this portion of the application, the board should focus on the standards set forth in Chapter 3, Rehabilitation of Historic Resources. Following sections apply to this request. The policy states to preserve primary historic building materials whenever feasible. Using the historic color scheme is encouraged. Base or background color should be muted, and reserve the use of bright colors to accent building features only. The board must decide if the proposed changes meet the above criteria. The applicant is not present tonight, but I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have for staff.
Attractive colors. Do we have a photo of the back?
Yes.
Back of the stairs.
So this is a larger picture of the back. And then there's a close-up of the stairs. So the stairs, all the base of the stairs would be the lighter gray color to match the base. That's the underside of the deck there. Stairs going up. There's also a little low retaining wall on, just across from this, on the other side of the garage, that would also be painted the same as the base color. So the driveway comes in here, the stairs would be just on this side of the driveway, and this would be painted to match the base of the house that you can see here.
So that's base of the house that the retaining wall butts into?
Yes.
Oh, how does
So
that?
the back of the house is right here, coming down, and then this extends out a little ways. One other item that the applicant has mentioned is, this used to be a greenhouse. They'd like permission to, in the short term, to clean it up and just put like a concrete cap on the top of it, just to dress it up a little bit. And they may come back in the future for a pergola approval in that location. But for right now, they just want to kind of clean it up and put a concrete cap on top of the wall, just to make it look a little bit nicer in the short term.
Well, while the pergola would have to come before us, the cap, does that really come before us?
I said we would bring it up just so
Okay,
we're already,
sure.
so.
You know, kudos for cleaning it up and finishing it off. That's nice. All right, comments, questions, concerns?
What color would the railing be?
The railing is black iron.
Stay that way.
Stay the same.
When you talk about the base, are you talking about the natural brick on the house would be painted as well?
Yes, so, like on the front here, you've got some red brick base there, and then on the side of the house, there's a little bit more of it. You have a full window here, and all around the house, all this brick, which is currently natural red brick, would be painted that lighter of the two gray colors.
Go back to the one with the car. All right.
So, you got the brick comes all the way up to here, and you've got a single car garage, and then you'd have all this here would be gray, and then the steps and the deck. This is kind of open behind the bush and wouldn't really be visible anyway.
Bob?
I was just trying to clarify if it all was gonna be painted or just those sections you highlighted.
Everything on the base that's red brick now would be painted the base color.
And you were saying they're different?
They're different, and also, this happens to be a friend of mine, but, where someone has painted it before, there's a lot of, like where they sprayed it, it's all the brick,
Overspray, okay.
right?
Yeah. And then these steps are different from the
Yes,
base of the
they are.
house and. So I think it would actually give some continuity.
It would
to
unify it all.
beautification.
Tie
Yeah.
it all together. It would be nice to save all the old bricks, but if you got paint down on them from before,
And they don't
not much you
match.
can do about it.
Yeah, it unifies.
And it all ties everything together beautifully.
Sure. All right, so with that, is there a motion? A motion from Jill, second from Mary Lou. Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Very good. We're now at BAR 1917. There's a second.
The applicant is requesting approval for new paint on the property.
Well, that's
On the
not,
property at 2406 East North Avenue in the North Anderson Historic District. Property is a single-family residence. The house is currently light pink with white trim and black shutters. The applicant is seeking approval to change the body color of the house to white, ultra white. That's the sample being passed around. The trim and shutter colors would not change. Same scenario as the last one. Use historic color schemes encouraged. Base or background color should be muted and reserve the use of bright colors to accent building features only. Once again, the board must decide the proposed changes meet those criteria, and the applicant is not present tonight, but I'll be happy to answer any questions I can.
Going from a light pink to a white. Everything else stays the same. Any concerns? Motion? Motion from Amanda, second, Andy?
Like,
Further discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Carries, thank you. Next, we have BAR 1914.
The applicant is requesting approval for two changes on the property at 209 James Street in the North Anderson Historic District. The property is a single-family residence. The applicant is seeking to change out 3 windows on the house. The windows are a mixture, or the windows that are being proposed are one attic window on each end of the house, and then the bathroom window at the rear of the house. So at each end of the house, you have a 6/6 window like that, and then on the back of the house, the bathroom window here being changed out to a casement window. The 2 end windows, they're proposing to change those to a 1/1 double hung windows, and again, the bathroom window to a casement window. As you can see, there is a mix of windows on the house already, largely 1/1 on the back. There's an addition on the side, which has 6/6 vinyl windows with internal grids. And then you have the 2 remaining original windows. This is from the front of the house. You can't see the window in the back that's being replaced. And then on the other end of the house as well, that I showed previously, here on this end of the house.
Hey, can you zoom out so we can see what's below that? Okay, we have 1/1 below.
Right, so,
To be changing out to a 1/1.
right, so this would all match now, basically, at that point.
A photo of the proposed casement window?
I do not have a proposed, photo of the proposed new window, no.
Are we clear to what we're talking about with the casement window? Okay,
it's on that.
on the back, right. Okay. So, 2 attic windows from 6/6 to 1/1, which would match below them? Question?
I have some questions.
Okay,
I've ridden this, I rode past this week 2 or 3 times from both sides. And of course, you can't see the back at all, particularly coming down from McDougal's that way. What you see is the other picture of the addition. And, right, and when you're riding down the street, you do see the one in the attic that they want to replace. And when I rode by, I kept riding by, I thought, well, whoever passed the no pain, the 1/1s? And I'm sure it was before it was a historic district.
correct.
And so you don't see all of these others that are 1/1, and it looks like they're more 6/6 than 1/1s. So why? And the 1/1s look like Quinnipiac on the, you know, with the grids in. So I mean, and I don't know, it's probably too late. I don't know if they came with grids, and they wouldn't be the kind of grids we want anyway, but I don't know, that was just my feeling was that, when you ride down the street and all of a sudden see a 1/1 with all of these 6/6s, it doesn't look appropriate, but that was my concern. I kept going back and looking at it because,
But if, this is obviously an enclosed porch addition, and it stands out like that, but there's not any, division in any of the other windows on the original house right now, except those two in the attic.
Right.
So it
well,
would sort of unify it a little bit.
I mean, it makes some sense, it's like, okay, the original house, all 1/1, the addition. Perhaps if it had come before us at that time, would have had it unified, but, yeah, I think Andy has a point there.
I think it's most likely that they had the big picture window, which was the original, and they had 6/6s at one point. And then came in and did maybe not these owners, but somebody came in and changed out these to 1/1s, thinking that would be complementary to the large picture window that doesn't have
yeah,
grids.
you're right.
And that would be more in keeping with probably what was originally done, so,
Well, and what Andy's saying too, this addition
Yeah.
is a different, material.
Yeah, the whole addition is completely different from the main part of the house.
already been.
Right. So to Andy's point, I mean, it would create some continuity to what's there. So what do you think, folks? Any further discussion?
And the roof change as well, right?
Right, but we can do the windows and then get to the roof.
Okay. Fine. So as to the windows, is there a motion to approve? We have a motion from Andy, second from Bill, further discussion? All in favor? All right, next aspect, Jeff.
The applicant is also seeking approval to change the roof out, standing seam metal roof now, and they would like in the future, I don't believe it's an immediate plan, but in the future to change it out to a black architectural shingle roof. When reviewing that portion of the application, the board should focus on the standards set forth in Chapter 3, rehabilitation of historic resources. The following sections apply to this request. In terms of the roof, it just says preserve the original roof form and depth, and use roof materials in a manner similar to that seen historically. Preserve original roof materials, and replacement of roof materials for a historic resource should convey scale and texture similar to those used traditionally. Again, if there aren't any questions that you have for staff, and the applicant is here tonight as well.
Seems like a change in the right direction.
It'll look good.
Motion to approve from Mary Lou, second from Jill. All in favor?
Aye.
Very good. Thanks so much. Moving on now to BAR 1915.
The applicant is requesting approval for a new fence at 1004 West Whitney Street. Property is a single-family residence in the West Side Historic District. The applicant is seeking to install a wood picket fence in the front and side yards of the property. The fence would be painted white. The overall height of the fence has not been determined yet, but it would be below 42 inches in height. Down the side and partially in the back. And then the fence that they're proposing would be similar to this design here.
Very traditional.
As you can see, they have already started with the rails and posts. They've had some issues with security at the property, and so he got started on it, to try to help with some of that in the short term, and then, waiting for approval for the actual design, the pickets and the fence itself. When reviewing this application, the board should focus on the standards set forth in Chapter 5, site design. Section regarding fences and site walls applies here. The policy states that a fence or site wall should be in character with those used traditionally and relate to the principal structure on the lot. Preserve original fences and walls. Where no fence exists, keeping the yard open may be the best approach for a front yard. Where a new fence is needed, it should be similar in character with those seen historically. Appropriate materials for fences that can be seen from the public right-of-way are wrought iron or wood picket, and a side yard fence should be set back from the primary facade of a home. Again, the board must decide the proposed improvements meet the above criteria. I'm happy to answer any questions that you have for staff, and the applicant is present tonight as well.
You know, what I like about this, it keeps it open, but it still provides the privacy and security that they need, picket, wise. Is there a plan for a gate in the front walk?
So where it comes in the driveway, we'll have a gate, right?
The driveway, but what about the front walk as well? And just another swinging picket?
Yeah, probably two-sided, it's pretty large opening.
Right.
Maybe about 3 feet on this side, loading in the middle.
Great.
Well, also like in the front walk, yes.
Yeah.
Very attractive.
Very nice.
The gate here, and then
And wood.
gate there.
Yeah. And the height being no more than 42?
Yeah.
Everyone happy with that?
Appreciate
All right.
Is it going to join up that?
There is an existing fence here at this point, a wood stockade fence, that I think has been there for a long time. And then in the back, there's also, join the fence in the back, there is a fence, and then there's, row of bushes, and asphalt, I don't know
Very good. There's nothing else? Is there a motion to approve? Motion to approve. Motion from Bill, second from Moyer. All in favor? Opposed? Thank you, sir. And now, finally, thank you for your patience, BAR 1918.
That's really pretty good, though, for all that.
Yeah.
All right. All right. The applicant is seeking approval for exterior alterations on the property at 401 North Main Street, downtown historic district, as the new home of the historic postmark. The applicant is seeking to make several changes to the building. What I've done is there's two different sign plans, one for her business, which is the sign company, and then a second sign package for is possible use as a retail event center. And then the third part relates to some changes on the, really more the back of the building, trim, painting, windows, things like that. So that's how I've broken down the staff report.
Thank you.
So the applicant has a sign company called Ander Sign, and you have all this in your packet. And so they are seeking sign approval for their business. The business will be located in the back of the building. So you're looking towards Main Street here, so if you're looking to it at from the road, this would be the right rear corner of the property here. Is where her sign company will be. Proposing a hanging sign on the building for advertising and wayfinding purposes. The applicant is proposing to add a hanging sign on the right front corner of the building. So the right front corner of the building here, and then the business is back here. So that would be a wall sign next to the entrance, and then another hanging sign, or excuse me, let me get this all right here. A wall sign next to the entrance door beneath the overhang, and a black vinyl lettering on the entrance door. So a wall sign here, and then vinyl lettering here on the door. Here you have a graphic, the textured hand-painted sign that she would be providing herself, hanging on a black arm. This would be the one on the front corner of the building. And as this relates to the next section, once the front part is developed as retail or whatever eventually goes in there, with the sign package for that one, this would probably move to someplace towards the back of the building. So the next one has some additional hanging signage here as well, but it would not be this plus what's in the other one. This would move to a different location at some point. All right, the second part is the postmark master signage plan. And so this relates to the postmark building itself, any kind of retail development that does take place in there. The building is viewed possibly to hold multiple retail, restaurant, or other tenants. That has not been decided yet. The applicant is proposing a master sign plan for those tenants. On the Main Street frontage, they're proposing 5 possible sign locations, because the address one here doesn't really count towards that. The building identification sign over the front door, which just says the postmark. It was not specific to a particular business that would be operating in there. 2 wall signs. You have an upright wall sign here, and another sign here, and then hanging signs at the end. Again, this is where we spoke about her sign being located currently, which may go away in the future if this actually happens. And then one on the opposite end of the building as well. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 on the front here. And then on the Federal Street side of the building, you have another entrance here. Again, an address, one here that does not really count towards the sign. Another building identification sign here for the postmark, and a tenant on the glass here in the transom glass above the door. This is reflecting the building sign that we saw on the other viewpoint there. The applicant is also proposing a freestanding sign at the corner where historically there has been a freestanding sign. Just think of this as sort of a temporary, permanent, or a permanent temporary sign, and then it'll be replaced later on once they get further down the road and know exactly how it's going to develop and all of that. So, but we would approve it as a permanent sign because it allows them to keep it longer and it's less expensive and all that. And so this would be similar to what we've seen in the past there for Sosby and then Sullivan King before that, where you have 2 poles with a freestanding sign here, just coming soon, new retail community with the postmark and some information about where you can find more information on social media about it. In the future, may look something more like this, where you have tenant panels for different businesses that are occupying the space. And so kind of an either or, I guess, at this point, as I don't know if you have more certainty quite yet at this point about what that's going to look like day one. And so under the standard CBD sign regulations, a business may have 1 freestanding sign per site. This can be a monument sign up to 150 square feet or a pole sign up to 100 square feet. The proposed signs that they're proposing for the corner would meet those size requirements. In terms of the wall signage, in the central business district, is limited to 15% of the wall area of each primary building wall, up to a maximum of 100 square feet per wall. I believe all 4 sides of the building would qualify as primary building walls. Although we don't have exact dimensions of what they're proposing, my guess at this point is it looks like it would be within that 100 square feet. Could be a little bit more, a little bit less, but it's not determined yet. And so, you know, by our standard sign guidelines, I think what they're proposing would probably meet those requirements. There's also some language in what she provided us regarding, you know, possible temporary signs like that. Those are also regulated under sign code. There are restrictions on the numbers, type, location, and duration of temporary signs, and also separate fees. I think is much more limited than sort of what she might have envisioned in her sign proposal to us, but again, that's temporary and would not really fall so much under the purview of the board. It would really just be more staff review as a temporary sign. So, when reviewing the sign portions of the application, the board should focus on the standards set forth in Chapter 8. Again, we covered a lot of that in the previous applications. All the different types of signs that she has talked about, freestanding signs, wall signs, window signs, hanging signs, projecting signs, directory signs, and, portable sign, under the temporary sign guidelines are all signs that may be considered in the historic district. Again, the same language about character, material, color, and detail of the building apply as well. All right. So the next part of the application deals with the actual remainder of the building itself and some potential changes to the structure. That. On the Federal Street side, there are some existing garage doors. They do not look like that now. Let's see. This is what they look like now. They'd like to repaint the existing garage doors in a faux wood finish. The doors would later be replaced once plans for this area are solidified. Again, not knowing exactly what type of tenant may go in here, this is what they're proposing to paint them to look like. And so now, sort of solid color. In the future, with potentially more changes to come. They're also seeking to add a little trim on the top here to try to blend this in a little bit better with the main building. That's the material sample that you have going around. That would be painted, and the building would be painted the color closer to the stone building of the original building. This is why you're last. There's a lot to cover. Picture with the windows here. There are some windows at the back that have been enclosed previously. The applicant will be looking to reopen those windows, possibly with some sort of storefront type, commercial storefront window in its place. That would add more light to the building. I believe that's your sign studio part. Those are right, so she would need that light while she has her business located in that section of the building. I'll see 1, 2, 3, 4 windows there that would be reopened. If they're not sure if the windows are actually in there right now, they need to open it up and investigate. But if they were trying to salvage what's there now, there are windows there. If not, they would replace them probably with the storefront type windows. They're also looking at the possibility of painting a mural on the building. Be sort of a faux ghost sign type mural. You can see it here. So basically, it would look like they've uncovered an old commercial mural from the side of the building. And finally, this is sort of a future possibility. This is the wall that separates them from the Art Center building. It's not really so much for review at this point, but just sort of to let you know what they're thinking about, working with the Arts Council to maybe make some kind of mural gallery here along this wall. And that's sort of a future concept at this time. So. We're reviewing the building modification portion. It'll be Chapter 5 of the Downtown Design Guidelines and Chapter 6 and Chapter 10, Design Guidelines for Colors. The policy states to maintain a historic storefront and all of its character-defining features. Historic windows and doors significantly affect the character of a structure and should be preserved. And design and alteration to be compatible with the historic character of the property. And then finally, use colors to tie together the entire storefront. When choosing a color, consider the context or major colors on the surrounding buildings. The board must decide if the proposed changes meet the above criteria. Sign permit will be required prior to installation of any signs. With that, I'm happy to answer any questions that I'm able to, and the applicants are here as well.
Thank you, Jeff. I appreciate the report, thorough as it is. First off, welcome. I'm glad to have you, and congratulations. You are the now proud owners of one of the premier buildings downtown. We have long appreciated this building, seen it through the years, enjoyed it, looked forward to something good happening to it as it has changed hands over the years. Also, we frequently reference this building when comparing and weighing out other issues that have come before us, indicating that this is one of the most significant contributing structures to the downtown historic district. So with that, we are very protective of this building, as I'm sure you are as well. There is a distinction, as much of this is signage, and there's additional issues. There is a real distinction between the sign ordinance and their guidelines and the Board of Architectural Review and what we approve and what we would pass on to them. Jeff, for you, sir, there's an awful lot here, there's an awful lot indicated being proposed. What is actually before us tonight?
So I think the Anderson signage, definitely, because that is the one that is the business that will be happening. That is something that I think they need to get a decision on tonight and moving forward. I think the building modifications, if we could get through those would be good as well. That would allow them to start working in that direction. The postmark per se, master plan, to me, that I don't know that there's as much authority on that. We have time to discuss that. The transit, well, yeah, right. So the transit sign with the postmark, if we could get that, because that would help them with the branding of the building. The rest of that master plan is conceptual at this point, I think.
All right. If that's the case, thank you for sharing those, looking to the future with us, and we'll be happy to address that as we go through briefly and generally, and not take any more of your time on things that are not exactly before us. Again, this is a significant building, significant project for you, and a significant concern for this board. We can all share our thoughts. Mine very, very quickly. The postmark signage above each of the two doorways seems to be very tasteful, very appropriate. Of course, the 401 North Main, again, very appropriate signage there. The monument sign, freestanding sign, I think is very appropriate. I can see that being well utilized as time goes on with additional tenants and activities there. I have the wall signage at the back, the side of the building near your entrance. I don't have a concern there, or of course the vinyl graphic on that side entrance door. I do have a problem with the hanging sign, as I'm sure you recognize. I would have a problem, I'll be honest with you, with any signage on this building. The building, significant historically, architecturally, the aesthetics of it does not lend itself to me for signage and, you know, putting that's and appropriate that you want signage, that you want the recognition. But that's where I see that freestanding sign would be more appropriate. That's my thought. Andy, you want to start?
Well, I agree with you about the signage on the building. I mean, it's such a classic building. It begins to lose all that flavor with all the signs. I mean, that's a lot of signs.
Oh, certainly.
Thanks. Sorry, I have to wear these glasses or I can't see you.
Whatever.
The use of the building is changing, permanently changing to a retail building. And if you have retail within a building, retail requires signage, and just a small placard does not cut it for retail. I specialize in signs, traditional, old world, sandblasted, dimensional signs. That's my thing. I'm sitting here listening to you and your vinyl graphics and all of this stuff. I can do wonderful things with vinyl graphics that could make things much more aesthetic and old world, which could benefit the municipality. For me in general, what I want to project when we're doing this building, we want excitement. We want flavor. We want people to want to come into the building, for it to be a vibrant retail community where we can have people gather and have fun. It's no longer a mortuary. It's no longer a regal building where people are afraid to go into the building. We need to open that door and make people want to come in. It has to be inviting. And I get it, that it's a very regal building. The windows are now mirrored. It's very, very austere. People are almost afraid of the building because it looks so regal. We need to break through that ceiling to get people to want to come, to want to be involved, and have this a retail building. And there are feasibly spaces within the building for up to 9 retail businesses within the building, and some are very centrally located, which it's imperative that signage assists to draw people in. And in this building, we cannot utilize window signage. A post and panel sign on the corner, it's very traditional, and that is why I presented it, because the building has always had such, but it is not a conducive retail sign. Looking at a small placard, that would be more applicable to an attorney, a dentist, not, for example, a coffee shop or a kid's clothing store. When we came to this municipality, we spoke to David McEwen, and one of the big deciding factors is the reason why we came here is the night prior, he said, you know, we had a meeting the night prior, and at the meeting, we decided we need to upgrade our signs. We need to make them hanging dimensional signs, similar to bark. We need to upgrade. We need to have a feel of old world, inviting. We want people to come downtown, and we want to get that feel back. All the awnings and the phone numbers and the vinyl graphics, and just, it's too commercial, it's too blatant. Getting back to that old world feel is what he told us is what they wanted to do. Immediately, I knew that Anderson would be a town that I could make my new home and my sign business in, because these are the type of signs that I do, and this is the kind of feel and need that the community needs. So, that being said, this is why I presented the hanging signs, because if you've traveled anywhere in Europe, they have beautiful buildings just as this, and they have hanging signs. They depict various, let's say if it's a bakery, there may be a pretzel hanging there or something like that. It's part of the love of the building. it's just a part of a European culture, and this is a Beaux-Arts building. To me, it naturally fits in because I'm not from here, and I've seen this all over the world. So I guess that's why I presented it, but your focus is not, mine, I guess.
But, I appreciate all that you've said, and yes, it is important, to promote and facilitate commercial development and the excitement. But I do take exception to your first statement that this is no longer a Regal building, but it is. It is a Regal building, and the role of this board is to preserve and protect those Regal buildings. Now, clearly to assist, but, that's where I'm coming from.
Sure, I understand.
Andy, you wanted to? I'll let you go ahead.
Well, I don't know how much more to say. I mean, I think there are alternate ways to make the building more inviting. We're not really getting into suggestions, brainstorming, but
I would be very happy to know what they are.
What's the possibilities of a post with the sign on the, hanging sign on the post, not actually attached to the building?
it's the number of signs, number one, that
Sure.
gets me so,
Mhm.
I find this contrary to the building's character. And I mean, there are other stores like the Sullivan Building that has different stores inside of it, but it doesn't have placards across the front of the building or anything announcing it.
And you don't know what's in the building.
Well, that's right. I doubt that you're gonna get a lot of foot traffic at that building anyway, unless someone knows what's there to start with.
Right. So I mean, I have to present it in a manner which is easily identifiable and it has excitement.
But isn't that the post and panel sign? Yeah, because it's the most clearly, and most readily readable sign.
Well, and I mean, I love the postmark, as you were talking about, and I think, I've been to businesses in other towns where they have that, one name, and, with time and with the proper advertising and marketing, not necessarily extensive signage, you automatically just know, oh yeah, we're going to the postmark. They've got great lunch there, or they've got the cutest children clothes there. And so I think it can be done, and I think we're actually all very excited about the possibility of the development of this. I think it's just very important that we respect the heritage of this building. It is a showplace for downtown. It is probably the most important building as you enter downtown. And I love the idea of, some of your commentary on the signs on other downtown projects that certainly could maybe use some of your help. It would be great. But I think, we just have to balance this. And I think that
We have to get past the fact that it is the look of the building. People are afraid to enter. They feel it's the police department. They feel they need to come and pay their water bill there. And I'm not making this up. This happens on a daily basis. They think it's a municipal building. And many people think, oh, 401, because 401 South Main must be something that they're really going to. I mean, it really, and with that mirrored film on the windows, it's not conducive to retail, period. I mean, it's just not. When you all know that when you have a retail store, you have to have visibility. You have to be able to see something, some visual something. And with the mirror, you cannot see within the building. So they have to be caught, and unless they're standing directly on that very corner and looking for a small placard, oh yeah, that's where I'm gonna go. What will tell us when people are driving by this building? People that don't live.
This is my favorite building. I'm so excited, and I know you have lots of energy and great ideas, and the concept is so good. But there's something about the signs, the additional signs, the 2 panel signs and the hanging signs. It's on the building, and in our guidelines, 8 too. It says the sign should be subordinate to the overall building composition. And this, it's the size. But one of my immediate thoughts, and I don't know if this is against, if this was originally when it was the post office, but the mirrored film, I mean, I'm sure that was when it was a funeral home, so people couldn't look in and see people grieving. I mean, I guess we'd have to approve it, I don't know, but if you could look inside those windows, I think, as you say, going down in sophisticated cities, you're walking along the street and you look in, and that's what draws you in. And, I mean, I think
Well, and
that, and you can even, there have been instances, where, you know, people, you can put a sign on the inside that people can see from, not hanging against the window, but, you know, a sign. There are other ways, people can look in and see, you know, oh, there's a sale in there, there's a coffee shop. Another thing which these pictures don't show, I don't believe, there are standards on all of the street poles,
correct.
and there are banners hanging from there all the time.
I have asked, and we can't use them.
No, well, I mean, but they're there. So actually, when you look at this building, you're looking at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then you have the banners too, which have been a part and will remain a part of the downtown feel. And I think we all hear what you're saying, that what do you do to make this acceptable?
Correct.
Well, one thing to me would be open up the windows. The other thing, you know, you have the sign on that corner, the monument sign.
Posted panel.
And what I mean, you know, I go out here every day, 2 or 3 or 4 times, and I've really been wondering, trying to think, what could be done? And one thought, it would be, if you, it's, how do I explain it? I took a picture of it this morning, and not this, because you said, you know, you don't want to say lawyers. This is a lawyer sign. However, this, you see as you're driving down the street. And I thought, you know, you would have to be not paying attention driving to look and turn and see your signs on the front of this building. Whereas this would not be attached to the building, but it could be right in front of, like, with a parking lot where you drive in there.
I mean, posted panel
There.
there.
Oh, you can only have one. Okay.
But that's on the corners, which is,
So you,
more
you
prominent
could
space
not
anyway.
have this, like, going into the parking lot. Okay, well,
But this is where you have visibility. What we're referencing is the
Right, I
posted
get it.
panel that you proposed.
Another thing I'll present, okay, so we've been targeting retail coffee shops, big names, to get someone to come in here and be interested in coming down as a nice anchor. They're gonna want a sign. And I can't get a coffee shop with a small placard on the corner. It's not happening. We've all seen Starbucks, Coyote Coffee, anywhere where we've gone, and they have a sign. And as a sign person, I know when you're driving down the road, your line and your visual interest is always where you're sitting and above. It's serious. People do not look down, they do not look at their line of vision. It's above, especially when you're not at a stop sign. So we need something, and perhaps if you would allow one, and you could see how you like it, how the people within the community like it, if we're getting any feedback. You know, I mean, I had anticipated that I can have a local iron worker make a nice scrolly bracket that goes well with the iron above the front door. I mean, I can change the way my sign looks or whatever. I really just like this old world feel. And if you would perhaps allow one, we could see if you would perhaps be more conducive to others, or if you wouldn't, we could take it down, but we could see if there was a reaction that was positive or negative. Is that allowed?
Well, as to the notion of a reaction, that's not our process.
Okay,
It is, and, so I mean, we can't say that everybody agrees with what we do, but we do, the best we can in following our guidelines, so it's not a matter of, let's try it and see what the reaction may be. You know, again, I think any sign attached to this building, other than the postmark and the street sign, the 401, is not appropriate for this building. I mean, that's just my position. I think the post and panel sign can be well utilized to invite, to advertise what's going on. It is at that level of the eyesight is driving through. It's just, I think this building, of its historic, architectural, and overall significance to downtown does not warrant any signage.
I have one thing.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I was just thinking about visual impact. And this building did have awnings in the early days. We have a lot of pictures where it had awnings about midway out the window.
Right.
And, you know, for what is actually in town now, it's like we saw, great big awning with a great big injury lawyer, you know, fixed to it. Well, I mean, we could have came in with awnings with, you know, names of businesses, because that is right at a good spot where people would see it, but.
and it's had
we thought
awnings
this was
before.
Probably better, but, you know, if we wanna go back to what was allowed in the past, some of those possibly were, you know, we don't look at them the same. Would you have a great big awning with a great big injury lawyer, you know, in vinyl, to me, is not doing that building any good. Awning might be, but, you know, some of the lettering up there, and, that's why we came up with this plan.
Sure.
Looking for something where we can get our point out there and work with you. We're not trying to work against you. That's why we had early meetings and what is allowed, so we can try to come in and find a spot that works for everyone.
Sure. You know, and we, as I think, hopefully I conveyed at the very beginning, we look at the individual applications and the significance and contributing nature of buildings. And this one, from the outset, is one of the most significant and contributing, if not the most. Jill, Moyer, Mary Lou, comments?
I'm with you.
I agree with you, and
And
I think I like Amanda's suggestion with maybe possibly removing the reflective film that's on the windows. This building, I mean, I think of other places, there's a place in Asheville, it's larger than this, but it's very, very significant building, and they've opened it up to retail. And it's like, once people know that you're there, for me personally, the building would pull me in. Not what's in there. I want to go in the building, and there are a lot of people like that, and especially once I know what's there, and I share it with my friends and, you know, social media and things like that. People are going to find out about it and be excited about it. And this building, for me personally, my grandfather was postmaster here, and then before he passed away, was a funeral home, and his funeral was held in his office.
Oh my God.
This building to me is just very, very special, not only just for architecture and the way it, you know, the style in downtown. It's just, this one's very personal, and I'm excited that you want to do something great with it, because I love your ideas. I'm the signage.
Well, then you have to help me, because I can't get an anchor in there if they can't have a sign. And I'll be honest with you, every anchor we talk to, signage is their priority. We've all gone to Starbucks and Coyote Coffee, and they have a logo and they have a sign. And I cannot have a small little placard. So if you can help me, I need something.
Well, what's before us is all we can really pass on at this point in time. You know, if you want to have something else to come before us, you know, certainly would consider that at that point in time. But this application as it stands with the signage is
Okay.
all we can pass on. Andy, we're gonna say that?
Well, I was just gonna say that, you know, I think the use of awnings is a possible way to because the awnings are removable. They're not permanently attached to the building and gonna do damage to put it up. The other thing which everybody, I think, has talked about is if the reflective finish was removed, lighted signs inside the building would draw your attention in. I mean, that's what I'm accustomed to seeing in buildings like this, or you could have a Starbucks sign, but it would be set back from the glass, maybe hanging from the ceiling. It's still very visible, it draws your eye in, but it's not changing the outside character of the building. So I mean, I think there are ways to still do it without attaching stuff to the exterior surface.
Okay, and so then, who would I be working with and talking to regarding these ideas such as this? So I'm not wasting your time and my time again, coming back to do this in the future. Who could consult me?
Jeff would be your point of contact, with the planning department, and any, further information or guidance or input,
But he's presenting the information. So I need these ideas. I need these things to know what I would be presenting in the future. I mean, I certainly appreciate and like these ideas, but is there someone within this municipality who can give me additional ideas such as that? I know Jeff would present it, but who can help me to formulate additional ideas and brainstorm?
Well, I mean, as far as brainstorming and discussion, you're of course welcome to speak with anyone. It's Jeff would be the contact to sort of help streamline the application and be able to advise as to what the board has approved in the past and what they might approve going forward. Jeff, is that right?
Would,
Talking to somebody like Kimberly Spears or, another director. might be-
that's what I was getting ready to say. Yeah, I mean,
Okay,
planning and development, Kimberly, Mary Haley, those groups would be, they've got great
one for me? Okay,
great ideas, and we certainly want to be, you to be successful here. We just, you know where we're coming from.
okay, thanks.
Another, can I just say one more thing? One thing that we have, aside, if we approved this, you might do it just beautifully, and I'm sure you would, tastefully, and so it would just be great. But what if a year from now you go, we don't want to be there anymore, and you sell the building? We can never go back and have the next person not have those signs up. Once we would okay it, it would be there. And, so
I see what
that's another reason.
on the other side of the coin, all the money that we're sinking into this building and we're investing and living in the community, it's completely the other side of the coin. I think of it, you have over $1 million in a building and you can't put up signage. It's disheartening.
No, you can put up signage. You can put up signage. We're not denying that. But not all of the signage and the particular configuration. But
Right.
as to the postmark, again, the 401 doesn't come before us, right?
Right.
The postmark above the front door and the side door, the post and panel sign, and the wall mount on the side and vinyl on the side door to the building. As to that, is there a motion?
Make a motion.
We have a motion from Amanda. Patricia, you got that? There's a second from Moyer. Further discussion?
Well, I do. If that's the only sign I can have, I would want my sign next to my door to be larger than what I proposed. I proposed it as a small secondary, but if that's the only one I would have, I would want it to be, larger.
Okay. Jeff, size-wise?
Again, the size is related to a percentage of the building wall up to that maximum. So, depending on, I think with the postmark part, maybe we sort of table that for now until we get some more ideas and can come up with some alterations. Like you said, you might want that to be bigger if we can't do the rest of them. And so maybe we kind of put that on hold for right now and come back next month with some other ideas and another package for that, perhaps.
Well, if we can't, I mean, I would like to make the sign actually to get operating.
Right.
So, I mean, I'm thinking, 30 by 30 or something. Right now it's small, it's probably like 18 by 24, but it would be my only sign that if people coming from the road, a very small sign, it's difficult to see. The back underneath the awning.
30 by 30?
You're talking about your anchor sign.
Okay.
Correct.
Okay. The wall mount being 30 by 30?
Correct,
And that's,
correct.
I think that's an
Okay.
appropriate size.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay, so Amanda's motion was the postmark on the front and the side above the door,
Okay,
the post and panel sign, the wall mount sign on the side of the building, 30 by 30, and the vinyl graphics on that side door.
correct.
Back. Okay.
Okay.
With that, we have a motion, we have a second. You have a second, Patrice? Okay. More, yeah. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. All right, as to the signage now, your application remains open as to signage to come back without further application. All right, Jeff, what else to consider tonight?
So the opening up the 4 windows in the back, the trim piece at the top of the building in the back, painting the building to match the stone in the front, and painting the garage doors. Yes, that would be painting the wall you see here in the garage building to match. Oh, are you talking about the mural?
No.
Or
No, not just a color.
Right.
Dressing it out.
Right, so painting all of this and this to match the stone of the original building, to blend with that building.
Do we have a color sample?
The stone of the building, I suppose, would be the color sample. I don't have a particular color sample to present now.
Okay.
We'd need to.
And I'm confused as to what's happening right now. I understand what's happening down the road with the plans for the garage doors. But,
So I was going to replace the garage doors, but the garage itself may not be conducive to do any future building on, so I have drawings for that, what we have to do for future decking over it. We'd like to do something like that, without those plans, didn't want to buy new doors, and so we'll just dress up what's there, they're kind of ugly. Just putting those, but it would look better than what's there.
okay, but I'm confused as to what the lipstick would be at this point in time.
So it would be paint to match the stone of the building,
Mhm.
painting the garage doors with faux wood, adding the trim up above. The trim piece.
But wood.
Look like it would.
Yeah.
Do we need samples or do we need samples, folks? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right.
Oh, yeah.
All right, so questions as to paint, stucco cornice, and the garage doors.
Color for the, color for the cornice, what's that gonna be?
The cornice color, what would that be?
It'll match all that.
Okay, Amanda, go ahead.
Very yellow versus how it had been years ago.
The other building is almost pink and some.
Yeah.
Be this
And
color
I
here.
guess that's probably where Amanda's coming from, wanting paint color to see.
I mean, I think we've always had a paint, we've never okayed a paint sample without a swatch.
We're not gonna paint in a month anyway.
Okay. Yeah, if you would, thank you,
Right.
thank you. Oh, yeah, sure, windows?
We do not have windows. We
They're
did
gone.
explorations, they're not
At
there.
least one of them.
Okay.
Holes that doesn't have a window, but it is small.
So I think we would like to replace two of them, the two center ones. But there are windows that are above the overhang, and they were painted over. And, we're able to scrape that paint off and see those windows
They
again.
were drywall over as well, so
Right, on the inside.
they're still there.
Okay, Jeff, show us,
You can't go with the windows.
So we would really like two windows, maybe. The two center ones on the back.
You're talking about that, the chapel extension.
Jeff, maybe we're talking about this one, Jeff. Got it?
The funky, window is now, and then, one next to it, the two center. We just feel that with the safety issue there, a lot of homeless people that are hanging around that building, we'd be safer with two center windows that are higher elevation.
Okay, so,
I think we just need some instruction on what type of windows you would allow there, so we could get some firm quotes or good pictures for you, but, you know, we don't know if we'll allow these store type windows, which is why he has pictures of different windows, ones on the art center are store type. If we could quote those as we would quote, otherwise we're quoting hundreds of different things.
certainly.
People don't have enough time to talk to us.
Okay, so where it's indicated there, previously there were two windows, apparently. Taking out the stained glass one,
Correct.
the other side of it.
Yeah, and it comes, no,
Here, let it, to be up high.
yeah.
I,
How do we know what windows are putting in?
this is on the back.
Right, it's on the back. So what they're talking about is not to go all the way up to here, but three-quarters of the way. Three-quarters of the window opening.
It would come down to the windowsill.
Yeah, come down to the window so they're not all the way up to the top of that previous window opening.
Then what would you do above the window then, where the opening is?
Well, we just fill it back and then eventually I would come for approval to do an extension round.
This wall is stucco, plaster. So are you gonna come from the top of the window and plaster that area in where the arch is?
And that's basically what they did. We have to fill that one in and go, you know, get the windows either just fit in the hole or smaller and just build it in, cover it in, and, you know, we don't want to paint it, so you have your base paint. Later, you would do a mural, it would be on over the top of this base color. Like I say, we're not trying to get an open approval, we're just, right now, we're kind of just trying to get an idea of what you would allow, so we can get some window. So we're not gonna cut those out, either.
Okay, so we're talking about wooden windows or metal windows?
I think that'll,
So sort of metal storefront type windows.
Aluminum, silver or bronze or? Frank?
be the low E because of the sun.
Like a dark
Well,
brown.
the Granonic bronze or dark gray, whatever, or they could be brown, I would match the gutters, that would be
Bronze.
That's the bronze.
Bronze.
dark Granonic.
And are we talking single pane, four panes, what are we thinking?
Whatever paint they tell us, we're not familiar from the north, so window people will tell us what we need for that.
You're talking about additions?
That's what I'm talking about.
You're saying, or are you saying where it's split?
Yes.
One single piece of glass or multiple?
Well, we have a picture of windows, so they would have them.
Well, which one would it be? Because there are 6 photos here.
Well, you tell us, we like the
Okay.
volumes, but what will you allow?
Definitely Mario.
Yeah.
Definitely more.
Yes, I mean, that would be ideal.
So what's on the one beside it?
Correct,
Right.
right.
Not that,
Not that, Jeff.
That's the art center.
That's right.
right,
Not that.
that's industrial, you know,
Similar to the ones that are on the
bottom corner, there.
corner beside.
This sheet.
Why they don't wanna go to
Mm-hmm, like that, yeah, zoom out.
Is there a reason, and I might have missed this, and I apologize, that you are not going all the way to the top?
The ceiling. That's what I'm feeling.
Okay, that's what I was
But,
thinking.
but the ceiling is above that stained glass of sorts window.
Well, we have to have this. Especially, sprinklers and things there.
Are you saying that the first one, this is open now? You could easily do the whole thing.
Yeah.
Part of the window.
I mean, either of these that were the original crossing, guys?
So if you like a certain one, that's what we'll look for and get some ideas for the next.
Red,
Well, we're talking about the,
I know, but it should be similar to these. Right.
right, well, yeah, we're getting there.
I don't wanna go with wood because.
Right.
Yeah,
And these
get that
other
afternoon
windows
sun on that.
talking about replacing, I don't even know who would do that, and what cost, but if we take the mirror off of that, we'd have to replace the windows, because there's no sun element, like the bulky glass or anything like that. You just, everyone would take care of it.
All right, so
It would be a good quality window.
what's being planned on the garage? There's a drawing here with 3 windows. Is that part of what we're looking to do tonight?
They have their windows there.
Okay,
There,
so we're looking just to leave those as is right now? Okay,
and they have mullions.
right, they're like 8 panels. So I mean, either of these have 8 panels. Andy? So either of these would be fine, would be fine, is that correct? Okay? But in metal, would be fine,
Yeah,
but an eight panel there,
And the mullions,
you know,
two divided.
and yes, well, with the, bronze metal, they would be actually true divided, correct?
If you look at that picture, if it would replicate the scale of, just the pane size, the nearest pane size of what's shown there would probably be a good scale. Would be like 1/4 that window.
Yeah.
or
I
6
don't know- I don't
pane,
know how wide it is.
yeah, doesn't have a dimension.
Would actual divided bronze, to that scale? Works? Works, Ethan? Okay, for those 2 windows. All right, for those 2 windows, Andy, excuse me, Jeff, anything else?
I think the mural could come back another time. So painting the garage doors. Painting the garage doors, the faux wood paint color.
Do we want to do
Put it
the
earlier.
paint tonight or wait for the, paint of the,
Yeah, I'd like to see.
let's do it all at one time? Okay, so let's approve the 2 windows that we talked about. If we can hold off for the garage doors until we get paint samples, but we're planning. So my understanding is 2 new windows in the back, metal, true divided lights on the scale of the windows on the building, go ahead and plan on the, cornice trim. And that would be it for tonight, back there. Yes.
How tall?
Oh.
Yeah, because, I mean, we talked about, you know, short,
Yeah.
taller, you know.
What do you think of the height of these windows?
We could replicate the size of that window there, that's currently shown,
Mhm.
minus the arch.
Okay, that'd be great. That'd be great.
Mm-hmm.
Got it, Teresa? All right, are we all clear? We're clear? Are you folks? Because I want to make sure that, you know, what we're moving forward. Teresa's great. She manages to keep up.
So do we have a problem with changing the copy on the posted panel sign?
What do you mean by change words? Oh.
Okay, do I have to come back time and 2 months in advance and the posting coming soon versus, you know, let's say now renting, and, you know, everything downtown is leasing, not leasing, leasing, so that we have to somehow separate ourselves. So, you know, renting or something when you're getting people actively involved that want to have their shops in there. Do I have to come back and ask you if I can change the verbiage on the sign, or how much leeway do we have? I can just do it removable.
Sure.
copy.
Sure, Jeff.
I think, I'm comfortable with her, sort of getting a blanket approval for this design, and then the tenant panels just being changed out, similar to what we did with Bark, where they have the vinyl decal on the bottom, and we said, as long as it stays within this size, you want to change it out to different quotes periodically, you can go ahead and do that, you don't have to come back each time and present what that is. So as long as we approve, say, something that's gonna look like this, you know, I think, you know, these are less important for the board to approve, and we can just say, you can change those as long as they keep the same size as and scale as what we have here.
Fair enough?
Right, okay, and if we have some type of, let's say, an event in the parking lot or something like that, can we place it on that sign? Or is that more of a something else?
I'll work with you on that. So,
Okay.
we'll talk about that after.
You know, it's difficult to get started,
Sure, yeah.
you know, and if we can't place anything elsewhere,
Mhm.
we're really gonna depend on that to multitask, I guess, you know, to get as much bang for our buck as possible.
Right.
Good thing I'm in the sign business to keep, you know, changing it up, so we can just see, you know, direction to take us.
What for the individual events, I think Jeff.
Something like that.
I'm sorry?
Easel sign, could she use something like
There's a
that?
little bit that they can do with signage, but the problem with our temporary signage rules are very limited. And so there are some things that you can do with like a little A-frame sign, but it's supposed to be within like 5 feet of your front door versus having something out at the road. Because it's really geared towards your customers already on the property, more like a traditional retail center where they're already on the property. They may be walking down a line of shops and you've got a little A-frame sign out there in front of your door. It's not really geared for, I'm set back 50 feet, I want an A-frame sign up at the sidewalk. And so, you can do the A-frame sign, that doesn't require a permit, we can work with her on that. But other types of temporary signs are very limited, and they're expensive and short duration. So, it's helpful for some people, less so for others.
And of course, all that doesn't come before us.
Correct, that's just through staff.
Just through staff, yeah.
Right, I mean, I think our biggest challenge at this point is we need to overcome, why would people want to come to be in our building when they could go to another building and have much more sign exposure than they would have coming into our building? And for me, dealing with retail and business customers from a sign perspective every day, I see this, and I see this is going to be a tremendous challenge in this building. So I really need to, if we keep that film, we would be unable to put signage inside. So I need to talk to Kimberly Spears and really need as much information can as to how I can sell signage to prospective tenants.
Sure, I understand that. And Kimberly will be happy to help you on that. But personally, this building is quite a draw. And I think that's kind of, the location, the structure that you're in is gonna, serve you well and be an attraction unto itself. I certainly hope that for you.
Now the building has nice parking, and, is the parking lot under the VAR as well? I mean, we're talking signage, we talked to signage, it doesn't need VAR approval for signage, in the parking lot.
Any signage would.
Any signage, like a car show or anything like that, temporary?
Temporary would just be through staff, so you'd come talk to me about that. If you're planning like short-term events in the parking lot,
A banner that's
yeah.
not affixed to the building is
Right.
still under VAR.
No, that would just be staff and under our standard sign ordinance, so, and how all that.
Okay, so if we want a parking sign, which we will eventually, then we would present it, this would be just.
Right, so we have like postmark parking on the sign, and,
Eventually,
yeah.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. I know you're straight. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Very good. Thank you for your patience. We look forward to working with you. Your application will remain open, and we look forward to seeing you soon.
Sorry, this is such a long meeting.
Quite all right. All right, that concludes the public hearing portion. Minutes from last meeting. Please has done a fine job as always. Is there a motion to approve?
There's a motion. We
from
got
Mary
one,
Lou,
we got one
second from
typo.
Andy?
We got one typo.
Oh,
It's page 2. Don't worry about
that typo. All in favor?
it. Aye.
Anything further? Motion to adjourn? Thank you, Andy. Amanda, second. All in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned.